All right, let's jump right into this fascinating explainer on Matt Haig's mind-bending thought experiment on human existence. Today, we're going to explore the architecture of our own sorrow, all those alternate paths we constantly dream about, and what actually happens when you get the chance to pull back the curtain on the universe itself.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if you had the chance to undo literally every single regret of your life? Every misstep, every broken relationship, every path you didn't take. We all carry these ghosts of what could have been, right? Well, today we are looking at this through the ultimate case study, a 35-year-old woman named Nora Seed. When we meet Nora, she isn't just having a bad day. She's fundamentally crushed under the weight of her own perceived failures. Section 1. The Anatomy of Despair. The cascading losses of a collapsing life. To really get this experiment, we have to understand the subject first. Nora feels like a black hole, like a dying star just collapsing in on itself. She looks at her life and sees absolutely nothing but squandered potential. She gave up a promising swimming career, backed out of a record deal with her brother's band, abandoned a wedding literally 2 days before the ceremony, and feels like she's a disappointment to absolutely everyone around her. And this incredibly rapid sequence of misfortunes is what pushes her over the edge. Just 27 hours before she decides to end her life, her beloved cat Voltaire is found dead in the street. 9.5 hours before, she loses her dead-end job at a music shop. A few hours later, she loses her only piano student. By the time the clock strikes exactly 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds, midnight, she decides to step out of her life entirely. She leaves a note, takes an overdose, and waits for the end. But the end doesn't actually come. Section 2. The Midnight Library. A manifestation of quantum probability. So instead of the end, Nora finds herself stepping through this thick mist into a boundless, totally impossible building. The floor goes on forever, and the shelves stretch out toward an infinite horizon. And filling these shelves are endless books, all in multifarious shades of green. Here, her old-school librarian, Mrs. Elm, just appears and explains the universe's ultimate second chance. She says, between life and death, there is a library. Every book provides a chance to try another life you could have lived. Every single green book on those infinite shelves represents a totally different choice Nora could have made. A completely different universe created by a single different decision. Section 3. The Book of Regrets. The heavy burden of what could have been. But before Nora can go jumping into these sparkling new lives, she has to confront why she is here in the first place. On a shelf filled with these thin, light green books, there is one massive, stone gray volume. It is incredibly heavy physically and emotionally. It's the Book of Regrets, and it contains every single misstep of Nora's life, from the totally minor ones to the agonizing ones. When she opens it, she's just visually and physically overwhelmed. The regrets start firing off. I regret leaving Dan. I regret quitting swimming. I regret not going to Australia. I regret being a bad cat owner. The power of these regrets simultaneously radiating from the book physically suffocates her. It's the ultimate, tangible manifestation of the mental weight we all carry when we dwell on our past mistakes. Okay, so the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the rules of this grand philosophical experiment. Mrs. Elm lays it out perfectly. Step 1. Pick a regret you want to undo. Step 2. Open the corresponding green book. Step 3. Read the first line and enter the alternate life. Step 4. If you truly want that life, you stay there forever, and the library fades from memory. But, and this is a massive catch, the very second you feel true disappointment in that alternate life, boom, you are immediately pulled back to the Midnight Library. Section 4. Testing alternate lives. Expectation versus the messy reality. Nora decides to tackle one of her loudest, heaviest regrets right out of the gate. The regret of backing out of her wedding with her fiancé Dan just 2 days before the ceremony. Now, Dan had this dream of running a quaint country pub in Oxfordshire. Nora decides to see the life where she didn't leave him, where they achieved that dream together. The dream she imagined was a happy marriage, a beautiful country pub called the Three Horseshoes, a roaring fire, success. But the actual reality? She arrives to find a struggling business right on the brink of bankruptcy. Dan has become a heavy drinker who openly cheats on her and dismisses her intelligence. He's bitter, he's unfaithful, and he doesn't respect her at all. That idyllic dream she was mourning, it didn't actually exist. When Nora is yanked back to the library in massive disappointment, Mrs. Elm offers this really simple but profound explanation. People change. We tend to romanticize our unlived lives as if they're static paintings, right? But Nora pulling one thread, staying with Dan, altered his trajectory too. Our ideal scenarios rarely ever account for how life, stress, and circumstances completely change people over time. Desperate for a win, Nora tries a smaller, more intimate regret next, the cat experiment. In her root life, she assumes her cat, Voltaire, was killed by a car because she let him out at night. So she chooses a life where she was a good cat owner and kept Voltaire safely indoors. She just wants to see her beloved pet alive one more time. She enters the life, searches her apartment, and finds him dead under her bed. Well, she is immediately snapped back to the library, and she is furious. But Mrs. Elm reveals a shocking twist. Voltaire wasn't actually killed by a car. He had restrictive cardiomyopathy, which is a severe congenital heart condition. He was literally always going to die young. He went outside that rainy night because cats often wander off to die in peace. Nora wasn't a bad owner. Actually, she gave him the absolute best year of his life. This brilliantly illustrates to Nora and to all of us that not all regrets are actually our fault. Sometimes our regrets are based on completely false assumptions.
Okay, next step, she tries the Australia test. The dream was moving to Byron Bay to go whale watching with her best friend Izzy. She completely assumes this will be a sun-drenched, joyful existence. Instead, she drops into a life where she lives in a totally depressing, moldy apartment in Sydney, not even Byron Bay. She's got a terrible phoenix tattoo, she writes sad poetry, and her roommate is a vacant, blue-haired stranger shooting zombies on a TV screen. And where is Izzy? It turns out, without Nora staying in Bedford, the butterfly effect caused their paths to diverge entirely. They aren't even friends. Chasing this specific missed opportunity actually led to a disconnected, isolated existence.
Section 5. The illusion of perfection. Erasing regrets does not guarantee happiness.
Through all of this crazy data Nora's collecting, she starts to realize a fundamental flaw in her hypothesis. She thought that by just fixing her past mistakes, she would automatically generate a perfect present. But she discovers that perfection is a dangerous illusion. As Mrs. Elm wisely points out, sometimes the only way to learn is to live. You can't just jump to the finish line of a happy life without actually doing the messy work of living it. Idealizing our unlived lives completely ignores the inherent unpredictability of all existence. You can fix a regret, sure, but that new choice is just going to spawn a dozen new, totally unforeseen problems. So let's summarize the key analytical takeaways from Nora's incredible journey because they are game changers. First, as we saw with the cat, regrets are often based on completely false assumptions. Second, what Mrs. Elm calls bullshit regrets fade away entirely when you actually confront them with reality, kind of like the pub life with Dan. Third, and perhaps most importantly, every single life contains pain and disappointment. There is literally no timeline where you don't suffer in some way. And finally, wanting another life is often just a symptom of lacking purpose in your current one. Nora's problem wasn't that she made the wrong choices. Her problem was that she was afraid of living the life she had. So I want to leave you with a lingering thought as we wrap up this explainer today. If you could step into the Midnight Library right now and open your very own heavy, stone gray book of regrets, would you dare to read it? Or would you finally realize that the life you are living right now, flaws, pain, and all, is the only one that truly belongs to you? Definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for exploring this amazing concept with me.